Hi, Bookmatic Lifelong Learners. We are on to the Always Question lesson, which is an amazing lesson. Here are a few amazing quotes about questions. The key to wisdom is this: constant and frequent questioning, for by doubting we are led to question. By questioning we arrive at the truth. Peter Abelard. The art of proposing a question must be held of higher value than solving it. George Cantor. It is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it. Joseph Joubert. Those are all questions or statements that make you think, that make you ask questions. Are you actually asking the right questions? And whenever we read books, we always want to have this curious mind. We always want to ask questions to the author as if we're having a conversation with them. There's a plethora of quotes out there that describe the wisdom of asking questions. And the three that I mentioned before are just 3 out of the hundreds of maybe thousands of quotes about it. So this is so important to becoming a wiser and more accomplished person and a better reader. The main reason why you're reading a nonfiction book is because you want to become a better person. One of the best ways you can become a better person is by learning from other people who have more experience than you in the field you want to become better at. But you don't always want to be an exact copy of that author. You want to be your own unique individual. You want to learn from the author's experience, apply his or her knowledge, but in your own adapted way. I know that in a lot of societies around the world, especially in Asia, where I have lived for the past 10 years, questioning authority is looked down upon. But you need to get over that no matter what society you live in, because one of the best ways to grow as an individual is to question, no matter the status of the other person. You could even question your president. And I know for a lot of Westerners, that may sound a bit like obvious, but for some other cultures, it's not. So I'm just telling you now, it's fine to ask questions. It's fine to challenge. In fact, you want to challenge. You don't necessarily need to go up to that person's face and be like, "Hey, I think you're wrong about this." No, you just be challenging yourself by asking questions directly to the book and writing it in the margins or Google Docs or wherever you want to write your questions. This is so that you can formulate your own opinion about the topic and adapt it to your own needs. But, of course, you have to be careful here. If you know that you are maybe uneducated about the topic, then it is very hard for you to make your own judgments. You may be able to. You can start your lifelong learning journey by making your own judgments, but realize that your judgments may be flawed, and it may be only a few months down the line before you discover that maybe your initial judgment was completely wrong. And that's totally fine to be wrong, right? Therefore, you must have an open mind about the initial judgments that you make. Don't hold on so tightly and steadfast to your own thoughts that you lose sight of your drive to learn more and grow. By having a closed mind, you lose your ability to grow. The miracle that you should always keep in mind about learning is the fact that it never ends. Your mind should be completely open to new things and new ideas. And you never know. You may be wrong about something that you've always thought was right. Just like in the book Factfulness, it mentions about how doctors thought that oh, it doesn't matter whether we sanitize our hands. But then finally, just a little over maybe 100 years ago, doctors started finally sanitizing their hands because they realized, wow, these little germs can actually cause infections and cause people to die, right? So for thousands of years, doctors were not doing the right things because they didn't even realize it. It wasn't even in their sight of mind at the time. So just realize you keep your mind open and you question what you have always believed. That way you can find out the truth and continue to find out the truth. The one best way to make educated judgments is to always question. What, when, where, why, how, when you're reading a book or going throughout your daily life. Asking questions will help you to make useful judgments with actual reasons and solid facts, not just opinions to support your judgment, which may or may not end up being true in the long run. The point is that you're thinking and growing as a person because you're asking the questions and not just because you're reading a book from cover to cover without pause for reflection. The only way you'll grow while reading is if you ask good questions. If you read the whole book and do not find the answer to your question that you ask, then it is your duty as a lifelong learner to seek out the answer to that question in another book or other resource. I highly recommend following through with seeking out as many other resources when trying to find an answer to your question. If you just stop at one other resource, then you're not searching hard enough. Read from different sources. Read about the same topic from different sources. I will repeat that again. Just one resource is not enough about the same topic. You must read continuously especially about the topic that you want to improve on the most for a lifetime, because there are always going to be new things to learn and new things about a particular topic. Think about doctors, teachers, and coders. All of these people have something new they can learn about every single day so that they can improve the work that they do. Doctors don't know everything there is to know about human body and how to preserve and protect it against harm. Teachers don't know everything there is to know about a child's brain and how it develops, as well as the best teaching methods, which seem to change over time and sometimes even get stuck. Coders don't know everything about coding because technology keeps on changing. All of those doctors, teachers, coders, and anything else you can think of, any sort of position out there, must have a curious mind, or they will not be doing their best at their job. Worst yet, they might even lose it if a better person comes along, right? You don't want to lose your job. You don't want to be left behind. So it's best to update yourself through reading every single possible book there is about the topic you want to study up on. And I know it's actually almost impossible to read every single book on one particular topic, depending on the topic. That's why it's important to be able to choose the right book. And we will definitely be getting into that in just next few lessons. I also want to point out that it's never good just to assume you know the right answer. If someone were to ask you to explain your answer, then you better be able to answer with an articulated reason or reasons why it's the best answer. What supports your answer? People who just assume that they're right without evidence to back up their point, on top of defending their answer as if their life depended on it, are usually arrogant and maybe even ignorant, even if they really don't mean to be. Not everyone means to be like that, but a lot of people believe in their own choices without actually having anything to back it up. So you don't want to be that type of person. The person who has the best questions will find the best answers and therefore come out on top. I'll leave you with a story about when I discovered that asking questions skyrockets your personal growth. Whenever you're reading through books, before when I started in 2015, I didn't know how to ask the right questions. I just read from cover to cover. And it's a whole experience type of thing, with your personal experience with reading and growing as an individual, you will be able to discover your talents. You will be able to discover how to learn better. And of course, this is a great thing about you taking this course is I'm giving you advice that I've learned over the past 5+ years of lifelong learning, of reading avidly, of making reading part of my life. So let's get into this story so that you can hear from first person experience. Okay? When I first started my book club in Surabaya, Indonesia, which is where I'm currently living, along with a few other members from Toastmasters, which is an international public speaking group, which I have mentioned before, I thought I'd be one of the best readers in the room. That was part of my ego speaking because, I thought I was the best. But after the first few meetings, I realized that there were actually a few more advanced readers in the room. When I observed our discussions, one of our members was constantly asking questions and debating, almost to the point where it was a bit annoying, but at the same time, it was very valuable. It was a bit excessive, but his actions got each and every single member of the group thinking and actually digging deeper into their own interpretations of the book and their own thoughts, which helped us to grow as individuals. I realized that I was not the best reader in the room and that I had so much more to learn about how to become a better reader so I can grow as a person and build a better life for myself and my family. It didn't make me feel bad that I wasn't the best reader, of course. Actually, it really excited me because I knew from that point on that I would always question while reading, as well as when communicating with other people. Like if something is not clear or you want to dig deeper into that person's mind, then ask the right questions. It's the concept of having a curious mind. Questions make you and other people curious to seek out the answers. So, I'm grateful for the experience I've had with my book club, and I will always remember that the best way to learn is to ask questions, listen, especially listen, right? You have to listen for the answer in order to have the answer. You have to ask the right questions in order to get the right answer. And also, of course, dig even deeper. If you cannot find the answer, dig deeper, right? Okay, so one of the reasons why you're reading a book is so that you can improve your own skills at whatever you're doing. And I know that I've mentioned this before. So yes, this is a bit redundant, but yeah, we've got to drill that into our minds that reading has a purpose. Yes, we can have fun with it. Yes, we can be curious. Yes, we can learn new things, but it always has a purpose when we're reading a nonfiction book. So we can improve every single aspect of our lives professionally, personally, and asking the right questions to specifically build up a particular part of our life. Here are 6 basic questions you can ask while reading a book. Of course, you can come up with hundreds of your own, and it also depends on the book that you're reading. It changes from book to book. But at least these are 6 basic questions that can maybe get you started if you're not used to asking questions. So, first of all, of course, when you're reading the book, you want to ask, what is it about? Number 2, what is the purpose, the author's purpose? Why did they even write the book, right? What's the author's problem? Because usually in a nonfiction book, the author is trying to solve a problem. They're trying to solve a problem, and that's why they wrote the book, so that they could offer a solution, either the whole solution or part of the solution. And also, what does the author provide, right? What solution does the author provide? So you're going to be searching for these questions and the answers, right? And also, would you solve it in the same or different way, right? You got to ask, maybe the author has presented a new way of solving a problem, and maybe you would solve it in a different way. So explain your answers, think about those answers, and how can this takeaway, the takeaways in the book, be applicable in your life? That's a really good question to ask yourself when you come across a takeaway that you want to apply, right? How can you apply it? And then you can take the necessary steps to get to that point that you want to get to. So now I would like you to come up with at least 5 more questions that you would like to ask about the most recent book that you've read, or maybe the book that you're currently reading right now. And then you can send those 5 questions to matt@bookmatic.com. Now you can move on to the next lesson. Thank you.